Hi, my name is Kathy Ekdahl, and I'm a personal trainer and a strength and conditioning coach. And welcome back to the Fitness Forum. It's been quite a while since we've done a show. We've been on hiatus. I like to say hiatus. It makes me feel really important. But I'm not coaching lacrosse anymore, and I'm back to provide you with some really great content about your life, your health, and how you can incorporate exercise into your life. So as we always say here at the Fitness Forum, it's always important to make sure that you talk to your physician before you begin any exercise program. There might be some things I show you today that don't work for you, okay? And then that's not a problem. You can always start at a level that works for you. But please check in with your physician as soon as you can before you begin this exercise program. So today I want to do a couple things. Number one, I want to talk with you a little bit about excuses. What are your major excuses for not exercising? Perhaps one of your excuses is you don't have enough room. You don't have enough room in your apartment or your house. Or perhaps one of your excuses is you don't know what to do. The biggest one that I hear is people say they don't have time. So I decided today for our first show back in a long time that I'm going to address those three issues. I'm going to show you a workout that requires very little space. I'm going to show you a workout that you can copy directly from what I'm doing today. You can tape this and do it yourself at home. And I'm going to show you a workout that you can tailor to your own time frame. So we're going to foam roll today. I'm going to show you a few basic warm-ups, and then I'm going to take you through a circuit program. Now, what do I mean by circuit program? What I mean by that is the circuit program is where you do one exercise in a row without any rest. So we're going to do 6 exercises today. Now, you can choose to do this circuit 1 time, 2 times, or 3 times, whatever works for you. Depends today on how much time I have, but I'm going to try to get 2 circuits in. So the most important thing about beginning an exercise program is to warm up properly. And one of my favorite things is the foam roller, if you've seen my show before. So this is a black foam roller. There are lots of different other kinds, lengths, and colors. I prefer the black foam roller because the cells are a little bit harder. A slightly easier foam roller than this is the white foam roller. And then there's also some blue and red ones. Oftentimes I order this online, although most sporting goods stores do carry them now. Just remember, if you get a very soft foam roller, it's going to wear out very, very quickly. So I prefer the black one. Now, foam rolling is a way that we release the trigger points and knots in our tissue. Trigger points and knots prevent the muscles from working properly. So anytime you have pain during exercise or you feel like your muscles aren't working right, that suggests to me you might need foam rolling. Another group that really needs foam rolling is people who sit a lot. When you sit a lot, the muscles assume a static posture. They become triggered, they become knotted. And the foam roller is going to help us to loosen that up. What it also helps to do is warm up your tissue for the workout, and it also reduces delayed onset muscle soreness. So this is not optional anymore for my clients, and I don't think it should be optional for you. I'd really like you to start using a foam roller. So today I'm going to show you the technique for foam rolling, and we're going to start by going down onto the floor. So lots of people have different ways that they like to foam roll. For me, the first way that I foam roll is on my thighs. So here, I'm going to come down onto my thighs and onto my elbows. And I'm going to just roll my thighs on the foam roller. So if my thigh muscles, my quadriceps were kind of tight, this is going to undo a lot of those knots. And I'm going to go on the foam roller maybe 20 times, and I'll show you a different angle as I come across here. So about 20 times, and we're going to really get these thighs right here. The next part I want to show you is a little lateral work on the thighs. So here, I'm going to come back onto the foam roller, only this time I'm going to position my body so I'm laterally on the foam roller. So now I am doing the sides of my thighs and one of the lateral muscles across the quadricep. This is where people get very, very tight, and especially from sitting. So this area here is called your iliotibial band and your lateral quad. When that gets tight, It can reduce knee pain, hip pain, back pain. So that action of rolling there like I just did is very, very important. I'm actually going to do my other side too. And the reason that I'm really being thorough for myself is that I've had some knee injuries on my left leg. I have a couple meniscus tears that have been repaired. And so the tissue in my left leg is not that happy. And unless I foam roll, I get knee pain. I get knee pain when I walk, when I run, when I lift. So I'm really working a lot on trying to loosen the tissue on the side of my thigh. All right, so now we're going to come along, and I'm going to show you how to foam roll here on your groin muscle. So your adductor muscle can get very, very tight, and especially from sitting. So I think it's really important to foam roll here, and I'll show you this view. I'm going to come basically down with my leg across the foam roller, and I'm going to foam roll all the way through my groin muscle. Okay? And you'd be surprised how much this hurts. And that's one thing I do want to say is that foam rolling should hurt a little bit, but if you're in excruciating pain while you're doing it, then most likely you'd need a softer roller. So again, these are hard cells, this black one. All right, I'm going to put my other leg. I'm going to be pretty thorough today. Here we go. I'm going to be pretty thorough because I'm going to do a workout in a few minutes, and I want to be able to execute it well and show you. So now again, I'm doing my other groin muscle. Now I'm going to come along and do my back. So this is where desk jockeys, people who sit at computers, can really, really benefit from, because the tissue along your back becomes very triggered from sitting. So here, I've got my hands to support my head just so I don't strain my neck, and I'm rolling from my lumbar spine all the way up my back. And again, maybe I'll do 10 or 20 passes here. This is where, you know, if you're rolling on your low back and it really, really hurts, that might be a little bit too much for you, so get away from it. Stay away from the areas that are really hurting. Circumvent them and then come back. So once I've rolled my entire back, what I really like to do as well is to lean back on the roller. All right, this feels so good, and I'm undoing all of that stuck posture from sitting at a desk all day. You can notice while I'm doing this that my rear end is on the floor. If you don't have the flexibility to arch back over the roller without keeping your rear end on the floor, just don't do it. One mistake sometimes I see with the foam roller is that people start going upside down, and that really hurts. So always keep your head and shoulders above your hips. All right, lastly, and again, there's lots of different orders for this. An area that I always recommend people do is the glute muscles. You have some muscles in your buttocks that shut off and get very tight from sitting all the time. So I'm really doing my glute muscle and all the way up to the top of my hip, which is called your gluteus medius. Okay, so again, I'm going to do the other side here just to be thorough. So you can see that my foam rolling takes maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Now we're going to do a few movements to warm you up a little bit. I'll get my foam roller out of here. So one of the areas that gets particularly tight is the front of the thigh, your hip flexor and quadricep. So I'm in a half kneeling position, and I am gently pushing my hip forward, opening up the hip. Then I can bring my arm way up, and you're really going to feel an awesome stretch all the way up. So these muscles connect your thigh to your pelvis, connects all the femur up to the pelvis. When that gets tight, that's going to cause a lot of pain. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. Don't fool yourself that just because it doesn't hurt on a day-to-day basis that you don't have some tight tissue. There's no question that we get really, really tight. So here we are. I've got a nice stretch in the front of the thigh. So one of my favorite stretches is a groin stretch. And again, I suppose most people don't think that their groin gets tight. But what I like to do is get into this nice all fours position and bring one leg out to the side. You can see my legs out to the side here. And if I were on this side, it would look like this. Okay, so here I'm stretching my adductors, and I'm just going to push my hips back. I'm going to feel deep stretch here, and then I'm going to rock forward, and then I'm going to push back. And obviously you want to do both legs, okay? So while we're here, let's open up the low back. Now, most of the time when people are sitting all day, their low back is in a tucked under position, okay? Then we have other people who arch their back. We really want to find a neutral spine. So we're going to come on to all fours, and don't think too much about it. It's not yoga yet. All you're going to do is curl under. My head is relaxed, my buttocks is tucked under, and my stomach is pulling in very tight. And then do the opposite. So now my back is arched, my head is up, my shoulders are away from my body. Okay? And so you can do a couple of these to get your back nice and limber. Feels really good. Remember that foam rolling in your warm-up should feel good. Okay, so let's work the upper back a little bit. As I mentioned, people who sit a lot for work get very rounded posture. So we want to undo that. One of my favorite ways to do that is with something called all fours torso turn. Some people call it corkscrew. But I'm going to gently take my hand behind my head, and the elbow's going to go down, and then I'm going to open up. And I'm going to go back down and really open. And one thing you'll notice is I'm keeping my low back very still. Down and open. And theoretically, my elbow should really be pointing up towards the sky. Here's the other side, down and then open. Maybe you do it 5 or 6 times per side, but your body's going to love you for it. Okay, so we've addressed the front of the legs. We've addressed the upper back, we've addressed the low spine and the adductor muscles. Let's get a little bit more of the legs, depending on what you do for your workouts. This is one of my favorite warm-ups, which is going to come back later to haunt you for a strength training exercise. Oh yeah, that's what I meant to tell you too. Today, this workout is a strength training workout. So here we are in down facing dog. Okay, in this, I am getting the back of my thighs, the back of my calves, and my shoulders. Okay, it's a really satisfying stretch. But the other thing about down facing dog that's so wonderful, it's strengthening. We're going to use it later as a strengthening tool. So I feel really warmed up. I feel really comfortable just going down and getting into my exercises now. So as I said, this is a strength training routine. You'll see I have no equipment with me. We don't need any. This is body weight strength training. There's going to be 6 exercises. You can do it 1 time through, 2 times through, 3 times through. Now, some people are strong enough they could maybe do it every day, but what you might want to start with is every other. So the foam rolling and the stretching that I just showed you every day. Before you run, before you walk, before you do anything, before you go to your Zumba class. What a difference this will make. Now I'm going to show you 3 core exercises, very gentle, very basic, and again, this is something you could do every day. So I'm going to start with something called a supine bridge. I'm going to lay onto the floor, my knees are bent, head is nice and relaxed, and we're going to start by working the glutes. So I'm pressing through my heels, and I'm going to hike up and back down. This is the exercise. It's just up and down. And I am consciously squeezing my rear end, consciously. And as you can see, I'm pressing through my heels. So it's up and down. So I'm going to do 4 more. We're going to do 8 of these. As we move along, you know, I'm going to choose an exercise that I do maybe 8 to 12 repetitions. And we'll do 1 more for good measure here. So here's your first exercise, guys. Your supine bridge. Okay, next one, bird dog. So you'll see these are between 8 to 12 repetitions, and you could go 1 circuit, 2 circuits, 3 circuits. We're just in the beginning now of circuit 1. So here I'm going to come to all fours, And I'm going to engage my abdominals a little bit. In other words, I want to make sure that they're working, that I'm not, just slovenly here and letting my stomach stick out. With attention to the low back, this is the area I want you to keep very, very still. We're just going to lift one arm and one leg, hold briefly, and then go to the other side. Notice I'm going slow, and I'm really paying attention to my low back. In other words, I'm not letting this happen, and I'm not doing this, okay? It's very slow and with a lot of attention. I find this exercise, some people think it's really easy, and they whip through it and kind of massacre it. I'd rather you go nice and slow, like I am, and pay attention to here and here. So some of you are probably saying, well, what the heck does that do? This exercise works some small muscles that are in between each vertebrae called your multifidi. And the multifidi support your spine. So when we talk about core, your glutes, your back, and your abs are your core. Any muscle that attaches to the spine is your core. So we also have layers of muscles. We have some muscles which are very deep, and we have some muscles which are very surface. The multifidi are very deep. They're in between your vertebrae. So we did supine bridges, bird dog. Now I'm going to do a plank. The most hated of all exercises, or the most enjoyable of all exercises. So here in my plank, I'm drawing my stomach in as much as I can. My elbows are directly underneath my shoulders, and I'm squeezing my glutes, my abs, my shoulders, everything. If you're new to planks, 10 seconds maybe might be your fatigue point. 30 seconds is great, 45 seconds is great. Let me say one thing. Once you can do a plank for longer than about a minute and a half, move on to something different. You hear about people who do plank contests. I'm going to plank for, 10 minutes. That's a waste of your time. Anytime you can do any exercise more than 15 times, as in like 15 reps, or anytime you can hold a plank for longer than a minute without it being hard, time to move to a harder exercise. That's the difference between strength and endurance, guys. Okay, so here I'm going to count to maybe 15 seconds in my head. If you're watching and you're joining along, draw your abs in, squeeze your glutes. If your back hurts you, get out of it. Okay, otherwise we got a couple more seconds here. Okay, so 3 core exercises, tremendous benefit. And even that little circuit, if you did just that, along with the warm-up and the foam rolling, you're good to go. So now I'm going to stand up and show you a couple more exercises. So I feel really warmed up. I think you probably are too. We're going to do 2 variations here of a leg exercise. The first thing I'm going to show you is something called a bowler's squat. So in a bowler's squat, it's a balance exercise. And so what I'm going to do is use my chair for a point of reference. I don't really need it, but you might need to. So we're going to stand nice and tall. I'm going to stand on one leg slightly. So here I'm on my left hip, okay, and I'm engaging those muscles. All I'm going to do is with the other arm reach and come up. Reach and come up, and I'm going to do 8 per leg. So I know it doesn't look like a squat, but basically it's supposed to look like what you finish after your bowl, okay? So I am putting the foot down in between, all right? But I'm bending at the knee, the hip, and the ankle, all 3. I'm not stiff-legged, okay? I'm bending. This is a really important exercise for your knees. We have to teach our body to be able to hold our body weight when everything is bent, okay? If I were to straighten and lock my knees, the bones would be on top of each other. Makes it really easy to stand. So I'm trying to deliberately bend the knee. Notice one thing, my back is really straight, at least I hope. I think it's pretty straight. There's 5. Now obviously I've done this before. If this is a brand new thing for you, then take your time. rest where necessary. When I'm standing, I'm really thinking about my big toe, my little toe, my whole foot on the floor. So that's a great warm-up for your glutes. So I'm going to put the chair back over here, okay? Because now I'm going to show you a little air squat. Now, some people aren't good at squats. You know, I have kind of stinky knees, but I can squat as long as I don't load up the weight. The thing about a squat is it works so many muscles at once. It's really a very valuable exercise. So oftentimes I'll use a chair as a point of reference for people. I'm going to start with my feet nice and wide like this, toes straight ahead. You want to make sure when you squat that this doesn't happen. When this happens, don't do it. Don't squat, okay? I'm trying to keep my knees out. So all I'm going to do here is squat to the chair. Now this is kind of a high chair, makes this squat really nice and easy, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with having the squat be easy when you first do it. Notice I'm sitting my hips back. I'm going to show you an incorrect squat. See how I went into my knees? Right into my knees. Instead, I want you to sit back, touch the chair. Okay? Now, when you get better, you don't need that chair. Okay? You can just get those hips nice and low. No pain allowed. All right? So I'm going to do 4 more of these without the chair, and I'm using my arms for balance. A lot of times I'll have people hold a kettlebell or a weight here because it turns your core on. You can even hold a kettlebell or weight on one side. That really works your core because you have that asymmetry that forces the core to work. So we did bowler squats, which is a single leg variation, and we did 2-leg traditional squats. Of course, you can put a barbell on your shoulders. Of course, you could hold dumbbells at your side, but at any rate, make it hard for yourself, okay? If it's too easy, you're not going to gain any strength. I mean, it's good movement, good calorie burning, but I think it's really important for us to be a lot stronger. Alrighty, so let's say squats aren't your thing and you don't like them. That's okay. You could do everything else, skip the squats. But let me show you one more variation that I really enjoy. And I think for people with questionable knees, I think this is a pretty solid variation, and most people do not have knee pain with it. And this is called a reverse lunge. So with a nice tall body, chest up, shoulders relaxed, I'm going to lunge back and up. So what I like about this is you can see that my body weight is going off my knee. It's going back. And in fact, a lot like the bowler squat, it's all glutes. All right? Now again, I could hold free weights here, like this. I could hold one dumbbell here. Sometimes I have people hold dumbbells overhead. That's not that much fun. It's not nearly as fun as no dumbbells. Okay, we're going to do 2 more. What I tell my clients and what I'm telling you, because you're my clients too, if it hurts, stop. You know, there's no such thing as working through pain. No such thing, unless you're an Olympic athlete. Okay? So now, it's this butt cheek, nice tall body. Notice my shin angle. This is important. You don't want to be here with the knee in front, but you don't want the knee in back either. You want a vertical shin angle. Okay? So it's all glute. All right, I'm going to do 4 more here. 3 more. It's also balance. Good, and now I got 1 more. All right, so going back to the floor, 2 more exercises to do. Hard ones. I think the one area that maybe this doesn't really get as well as I'd like it to is your upper back. So I'm going to have you do some more down-facing dog, because down-facing dog really works your upper back. So there's lots of different variations to this, everybody, okay? One variation is I get into the pose and paying attention to keeping my hips still. I'm going to walk out. I'm going to hold in a high plank, all core, all shoulders, and then I'm going to push back. The nice thing about a sticky mat is your hands do stick. So this is variation 1. Okay, and maybe you do 4 to 6. This is a little bit harder. Okay. Variation 2 would be come out, do a push-up, press yourself back. This is called a yoga push-up. Okay, it's kind of hard. I got one more. Again, 1 push-up. All right. Lots of shoulder work. Whew. Okay, let's do some planks now, some side planks. So this is also called a side bridge. Whenever we plank, we're working our core, but you're also working your shoulders. And remember that core isn't just your belly. Core is your back muscles and your glute muscles. So here I am along my side, elbow directly underneath shoulder. Feet are bent, knees are bent, and I'm going to hike up here. So this is probably the hardest variation, and you want your hips way up, okay, way up. Now I might hold it 15 seconds, 30 seconds, depends on your own strength, okay? But that's pretty hard. So let's try a couple other variations. You have to pick your own level, right? If you're not exercising at all today or currently, then maybe what you do is you do 1 set of all of this and see how you feel. Okay, variation number 2, which is a little bit easier, is I'm going to keep my knees on the ground. So now the hips hike up. Same exercise. You could hold a weight here if you wanted to, but boy, this is great for your rotator cuff, the entire side of your body, and your back and glutes. In fact, this exercise, bird dog, and the supine bridges that I showed you first, those are wonderful for bad backs. But you gotta be cautious. So you can see I'm on my knees this time, right? Good. So you want to choose your level. So today, you know, I showed you a bunch of different exercises. Here's what you can do. If you want to start slow, tape the show, do the foam rolling and the stretching every day for a week. Second week, come into the circuit and do the circuit 1 time through. Not every day, every other day. Depending on your time, depending on how much soreness you have, the next week you could add a 2nd or 3rd circuit. So I can guarantee you, because we have a half an hour show, I talk a lot, but I can tell you that this routine that we just did today probably takes 20 minutes. You add another circuit through, that's maybe another 10. So I'm really hoping that in your day-to-day life that you have 20 minutes. You know, if you don't have 20 minutes, you got to figure out a way to make that happen. One last thing I want to talk about before we close. You know, it takes a lot of work to change the physical body, to morph it, lose inches, lose body fat. This kind of workout is the way to start. But don't confuse a 20-minute workout and the 2 hours that most people might need to dramatically change their body. This is the way we start. Now, if you have any unusual soreness, aches, and pains, back off during or after. But do expect some what's called delayed onset muscle soreness, especially in the legs. If you haven't done a lot of lunging, you're going to find that your legs get really, really tired. You should not have back pain. So if you have back pain, you got to back off. All right, so that's it basically for today. The other thing I just want to offer you is anytime you have any questions or concerns, or if you have ideas for a show, you can email me. And my email is Kathy, that's with a K, at personalbestpersonaltraining.com. So speaking of personal best, this is your workout. Do your personal best, whatever works for your current fitness level. And I look forward to seeing you next time.